Odds are if you're an electric guitarist, you've heard of the Klon Centaur. Odds are if you're into gear, you know how many clones there are of that particular pedal, the Tube Screamer, the OCD. There's like 50 Marshall in a box pedals released every year. So you get the point. There's plenty of clones of all of these iconic pedals. Now, Bill Finnegan released the Klon back in 1994, and it's become one of the most sought after pedals ever, and arguably the most expensive pedal on the used market because of their scarcity. Everyone who gets one pays a fortune for them now, unless of course you buy one of his new KTR models, and that's the one that I personally owned for a long time. It was the red one, and it said the hype on this overdrive is not of my making or something to that effect, and it was one of my main overdrive pedals for a long time. Whether you like the Klon Overdrive or not, we can probably all agree that it's one of the two most Klon overdrive pedal types of all time. The Klon and the Tube Screamer would be the first two that come to mind. I think every pedal company ever has their take on either one of these two pedals. Now, before we get into it, just to let you know, I'm not a lawyer. I don't know all the technical jargon that goes along with this, and I'm just going to share with you some news and my opinion on this from a layman's perspective. And I encourage you to leave your opinion down in the comments section, and if you enjoy the video, leave a thumbs up. Here we go. To kick things off, what I want to do is just show you the post from Bill Finnegan, then we'll take a look at the Behringer pedal in question. We're also going to take a look at their promotional video as well, because I saw this last night for the first time, and I was kind of shocked, to be honest. I was oblivious to the marketing around the pedal. I saw it pop up on some feeds and related videos, but I've already got my pedals sorted out, so I didn't watch any of the marketing until last night, and we'll get to that in just a moment. So this is Bill's page here. He says, "Hi everyone, quick heads up that this past Friday," and he puts the date, "IP attorneys I have engaged with filed a federal lawsuit against a well-known pedal manufacturer that is currently marketing and mass producing a pedal that we believe blatantly infringes upon specific intellectual property owned by my company, Klon LLC." He continues, "For the record, I've never been consulted in any way about this pedal. It has never been authorized by me, and I have never had any involvement whatsoever in its design, production, or marketing. You may have questions about this pedal, so I encourage you to read the filed complaint, which you can access via the hyperlink that has now been added to the top of the Klon page, which I just showed you before on Instagram. I'll link to all of this down below as well. It's all publicly available information." And lastly here, he just says he's not going to comment on the matter publicly, and if you want to support what he does and buy an authentic Klon, you can go to Klon Direct Sales on eBay. Occasionally he'll just put one up as a one-off, and you can still buy them. So yeah, and this is separate from the KTR, which is a PCB kind of job, whereas this one here is handmade. So yeah, it's a different thing.
I saw he put one on eBay recently because he does that sometimes.
John Mayer did?
No.
The dude that makes these or owns
Bill
the brand.
Finnegan.
Before we get into this document that's at the top of the page here, what I'm going to do is show you the Behringer release video. I think if I preload you with the document, it might bias your assumptions on this. And if you've already seen the video, then you can skip this part. But I'm going to share this with you because it's pretty interesting to say the least. All right, let's get into this video. Here we go.
Sometimes a completely new idea comes along that revolutionizes the guitar world. This thing created a whole new sonic avenue for guitarists like John Mayer, Jeff Beck, and Matt Schofield to explore.
All right, so basically the assumption could be taken from this already, at least in my opinion, this is just my opinion, that that particular pedal is played by these artists. If you don't know anything about electric guitar and you don't know anything about gear, that's the assumption that is made. He's pointing at the pedal he's got in his hand, which is the Behringer version of the pedal, and then you see all of these artists here.
It took over 4 years to perfect the design, hitting the market in 1994.
Looking at this, I can tell that it's not an original Klon Centaur, but it's very similar. I think it has exactly the same graphic here, or it's so similar. The sword's kind of in the down position. There's a line where his abs are. The beard is dotted here. Let's take a look at this one. All right, it's hard to see from the resolution, but it looks very similar. I think the biggest difference is the control separation. These are much more spread apart here visually than what this one looks like from the front. But again, still very similar. There's no Behringer branding on the top, although there is on the back. But yeah, you can let me know in the comments what you think of the similarities. And then we're going to talk about sort of other versions that you can find. So let's take a look.
Those productions stopped. The element of scarcity of the original units exacerbated this upward trajectory. And this
is interesting because he's saying that production completely stopped, which it didn't. You can still occasionally find them on the eBay site.
Introducing Behringer Centaur Overdrive.
I mean, yeah, again, look at the similarities here with the graphics, the color, all that kind of stuff. I'm going to show you something that I find interesting. So a while back, I reviewed the Warm Audio Centavo pedal, which is a straight up Klon clone. And the case on this is basically a replica to the case used on the original. But the graphics and the branding says something very different. You can't mistake it by looking at it from the front. I think the assumption here is that the Behringer is too close, and it also infringes on a registered trademark, which we'll take a look at right now.
Here, this is an all-metal enclosure. It captures the original looks, but it comes in a smaller format.
Yeah, I had a feeling it was smaller. Just visually, it does look quite a bit different there. All right, so it is branded on the back, and it's engraved. That's cool. All right, so that's the video. You can make your mind up if you think it's a little too close for comfort when it comes to the aesthetics, and I'd be really interested to hear your thoughts. All right, let's go through the PDF. Now, I'm not a lawyer. I'm not going to claim to be or think I know more than anyone else about this. I know probably far less about it than everybody, but what I will share with you right here is just some of the examples cited in this claim. If we head over to page 3 on this document with the link that I just showed you, then we can go down into a couple of the complaints here. And obviously, if you take a look at this side-by-side comparison, they both look very similar. Obviously, the Behringer one here on the right is smaller, but it has the same colored controls pretty much. It has the same logo, has the same Centaur text on it as well, although they do say Overdrive on this side. But they look very similar, and this is the first of the clones that I've seen that have a very accurate version of this, and also the Centaur, which is a trademark as well. And it goes into details about this. If I've misread any of that, I'm not a lawyer, as I mentioned, so yeah, you can make your own mind up about it. But basically, the complaint here is that they announced and promoted their blatant counterfeit. Defendants took the deceit to another level by releasing and disseminating a promotional YouTube video that extensively discusses plaintiff's Centaur Overdrive pedal while deceptively and continuously showing defendant's counterfeit pedal. So they taught, yeah, that's kind of what I was getting at before. So it felt like while they were referencing the original Klon, they had theirs in their hand. The guy was kind of like pointing to it. So I can see that that's going to be a problem. Right above these two images here, you can see that it says that they're utilizing a federally registered Centaur trademark. So I think that's going to be the huge problem. While visually they're very similar, yeah, you can't use other people's trademarks. That's exactly why trademarks are around. If we go over to page 4 here, basically they claim that the consumers expressed extensive actual confusion that went deliberately unabated by defendants, with many rushing to purchase defendants' counterfeit pedal. So what this is essentially saying is that it sounded like to people in the comment section, which we'll get to some of those comments, that this was actually endorsed by Bill. So if that was me, I'd be livid. I totally get it. Now, if we go to page 17 and 18 of this document, you can see point 57 here. It says defendants' guitar pedals have typically, if not near universally, included the Behringer trademark plainly visible on the face of the pedal, which is true here. You can see all of these examples. Now, I've reviewed a lot of the early Behringer pedals, the ones that I purchased, the old plastic ones, and they all had Behringer right across the front, as do all of these ones in these examples right here. So yeah, this is the first of the, I guess, new wave of pedals they've released where there's no branding on the top. So yeah, again, it is on the back and underneath here, but again, it's probably more similar to the original than some of these others. If you followed any sort of online court case, odds are they reference a lot of stuff that goes out on YouTube comments as well, and just things people say in the document, and we're going to cover some of that right now. So the Guitar Geek here said a couple of things here that I absolutely agree with. He says there's a line that I don't think should be crossed. In some cases, it's an unspoken agreement. In other cases, it can be a legal battle.
Parkouring that barrier like a team of elite French freerunners, skidding to a halt, doing a naked victory dance, flipping the double bird at Bill Finnegan, and walking off into the sunset with a huge bag of money.
And if we go down to our Andertons here, Pete, I should say, sorry, says, because it looks exactly like it. It's got a sword on it with a gold one, and they call it a Centaur as well.
That's cheeky though, isn't it? Because that looks exactly like, and he's got a sword with a gold one. And they call it a Centaur as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So links below where you can purchase all these pedals. And again,
I think another one here that I read was Ryan's comment from 60 Cycle Hum. He says the boldest thing about it, like Andy Ferris pointed it out, like the balls on Behringer just to call it a Centaur. Now, if you've already skipped ahead, I already mentioned there's plenty of clones out there. The circuits themselves, for whatever reason, aren't the issue. It's the use of intellectual property here. If they had have called it, if they had branded it Behringer and called it the Centavo, or not the Centavo, it's already out, but Centavio, then they could have got away with it. But they didn't do that. They literally called it a Centaur. And, you can make your mind up what you think of that promotional video. Another thing worth talking about here is on page 30 and down. There's plenty of these examples from forums as well. Forums often get referenced in these type of lawsuits. So it says, once upon a time you made a clone of something, at least you made up your own name and graphics. I guess this one is technically a counterfeit. Guys, let's clone the Klon Centaur. How about counterfeiting it? Yes. This comment here says, Behringer does what it wants, as if they have any respect for IP at all. They know for most of these products, trying to enforce trademarks and patents will be onerous. And even if they do lose a lawsuit now and then, it's just the cost of doing business. And that's the thing, right? Like Behringer's worth $2 billion. I checked their net worth as of today. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where this goes. If you want to download this document, again, I'll link to the original post on Instagram and you can find all this information. It's, again, all public information. Anyway, let us know what you think. Thanks again for watching. Something a little bit different today, but I want to share this with you because, yeah, I wondered where the line was, and it looks like it may have actually been crossed. So, yeah, let us know what you think. Thanks again.